Alright, hey, good morning. Oh shit, my coffee spilled. So I was gonna go film this and eat at Grapevine, but it was closed, so I'm just on campus having breakfast, and I'm going to talk to you. So I've got a salad here, yum, and today I got the San Francisco crepe with smoked salmon. So I'll show you this. You see it? You have to box it because like I'm gonna take a bite and then I'll start talking. I forgot to get hot sauce today. Oh god, it looks so good. That shows you how hungry I am. Did you see me scarf that? So, I want to talk for a second about growth. I mean, like, the growth that comes from real diversity. Like I said, I'm the person who I always do whatever's free, and I don't do the things that are like exclusive, because I feel like the exclusive things, although they're good, and I've done those as well, I realize that they're leaving people out, and a lot of the way that the world is just set up right now, the most talented people are usually poor, and they don't have access to exclusive spaces. And so the people who are being paraded around as being like the best, they're not the best, they're just the most visible. And that's unfair. So I really do like appreciate the like YouTube platform at this point, because like when I was a student at OSA, I knew YouTube was there, but I just didn't see the potential of it. Like I didn't understand there's like an international audience watching, that people actually cared, about my experience, and stuff. It honestly didn't feel like anyone gave a shit. And even when I left, they never gave me like a portfolio. So all the shows that I did, somebody has the recordings of that. I think a lot of them are locked. Like some people, whoever has them, they just put them in a vault somewhere, and they're not going to give them to me. So I literally have to make my own content all over again, even though I've done all this shit. Fucking high school. It's just nuts. I think it's just really important to understand what tools are. Like, today, everything's free and accessible. And you could take one TensorFlow tutorial, read it every day for 3 weeks. Every single day, the same tutorial. You will become a grand master at that one tutorial. That is mastery. That is actually what's missing in the Black community. We don't have like real masters of crafts. We have people who are like, all right. They're not real masters though. Like, even I would say, like, I feel like I'd gotten to a place in my dance career at one time where I felt like I was a master. I was extremely in shape, but the society just dimmed my confidence, because that's the thing. If you have a product but no audience, you don't have a product. You don't have product market fit, and it's not going to work. So like in the same way that, whenever Britney Spears, when she first came out, she was like way hot, right? Because like all the white kids were the ones in the like, middle class high schools. But a Britney Spears wouldn't hit today because the society just doesn't look like her. Like, most of the people couldn't relate to like that experience, not her being white and it being like all white girls in it. That's why that movie with Gabrielle Union, the one Bring It On, the original one, not, they made a ton of remakes, but the original one, the reason it hit was because of the way it was literally the class distinction of the Clovers and the what were they, the Red Robins or something. Like, I feel like, honestly, for me, that was like, Berkeley High was like the whatever the red team was, and then OSA was like the Clovers. All the real talented people were actually at OSA, but OSA was all black at that time, so nobody gave a shit. And then, you know, Berkeley High was more like white, and at least in all the arts programs, most of the people were white, so they thought because all they saw were just like the people who were there, and they were like, oh, all the people who want to participate in these activities have the money or the know-how to do these extracurricular activities. But they don't. Like, a lot of people don't realize that there's financial aid and they could participate. They don't know like how to apply. They certainly don't have the money to apply. Actually, most poor black families, they don't even participate in any extracurricular activity at all. Like, they don't use the library. They don't man, it's kind of awful. Like, they just don't like utilize public services. And that's why I think people don't understand what their local government is for. That's the reason why Oakland is failing, and it's going to keep failing. The more black techies that move into Oakland, I really hope you guys take note of this. You got to fix the infrastructure. And what I mean is you have to fix the infrastructure for the poor people. If you notice now, and let me tell you this, because there's a lot of rich kids from OSA who just lived in the Oakland Hills, but the Oakland Hills aren't the Berkeley Hills, and the Oakland Hills aren't like Beverly Hills. There were some like Beverly Hills type of kids at like Berkeley High. There were none of those at OSA. Maybe like Ari was a transfer and he seems to have gone far in New York, but to be honest, like, he wasn't the most talented. He was like mediocre at best. The same with like Zendaya, Kehlani, all those people who are coming out, they're like mediocre at best. But it's great because like, and this has been the trend for a while, like mediocre talent is going extremely far because there's just nobody else. There's all these funnels and filters that are supposed to create opportunities and pipelines for like the kids, right? But as you see, what like Willow Smith and Jaden Smith didn't go to like specific art school. I think they just went to regular high school, and still they're killing it more than any of the art school kids. Why is that? It's because when you go to like a more public school, you just got a diversity of perspectives. Like, there's a lot of people who have talent in art, but like a lot of people still see art as a hobby. Like, I had to learn that lesson the hard way. Like, a lot of arts people are just poor, and they're poor and petty. Like, a lot of them take their frustrations out, like their own insecurities with their like failings in a particular art form. Instead of like just getting better at their craft, they grow into like biased adults who just perpetrate their own stereotypes. I noticed that with like Darnell when he didn't include me in the McDonald's commercial, even though like I was literally the best dancer there, and he still did not pick me for the McDonald's commercial. And he was on the panel of judges, and when I saw that, I was like, fuck this fag nigga. I was so mad. Okay, I take that back, I'm sorry. But like, I was really upset. I was really pissed. Like, I was like, see, no, if it's not about being the best, then I don't want to participate. I opt out. Like, that was my commercial. I was born for that fucking commercial, and to have it like snagged under me. And that was the third time, because the same thing happened at dance production, and pretty much the same thing happened at OSA too. It's like, talent doesn't matter. They just want whatever the fuck they want. Like, if you look at all the dancers, I'll post a video later at OSA, like half of them, they like, people thought Alexa was like dope shit, but she was like fat. She was like extra fat. You can't make it in the dance world as, not as like a ballerina being like as fat as she was. It's not a thing. It's about body types, and you expire at a certain age. Like, I'm way too old to be like a real dancer, right? But like, that shit was like or people were just like they were like short, like literal midgets, like, you know, or just people who just didn't have the bone structure. I don't know, at that time there was like a real type for ballerinas. So I'm not saying that I'm even it, because like I've always been a little bit thick for the ballet side, but still I'm a little bit like more dancer-esque than other people. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just be a journalist. I've been thinking about critiquing tech for a while, getting into tech journalism, maybe fashion journalism, something like that. I continue to talk about that, but I've just been too sad to write anything. So there's that. Depression is such a bitch. I saw that Mara did a live stream kind of recently where she was talking about her own anxiety and depression. It's very real. It's very real. And I think one thing a lot of people don't miss, or a lot of people miss, but I noticed this, UC Berkeley caught it with the Ailey Camp video because they made a ton of edits. Like, you got to talk to your audience, right? And like when I was at OSA, when I was doing more mainstream art with those communities, a lot of people had this archetype of like what the black girl looked like, even though they'd never seen one. Like Misty Copeland is extra new, and she's right now the black ballerina. But even then, like a lot of the ballerinas didn't really realize that hip hop was like on the rise. So they just thought like, oh, we have to do ballet, and they thought like hip hop was a joke. Like everybody thought hip hop was a joke. It's not a joke. It's been serious for a while. I was doing international competitions in like 6th grade. It's like a funny how some of these like people are coming out with their little art projects now and their shit. It's like, you are so basic, like you have no idea. And it's so sad because like your parents have propped you up, everybody's propped you up telling you like you're hot shit. But those people in the audience, they have the internet. We've been watching like dance battles in China, in fucking Trinidad, Tobago, in Ghana. That's where we were competing. It wasn't just in Los Angeles and New York. And so like that's why groups like Blackpink and anime, everybody saw that shit coming. Of course they were gonna pop. Like they like having like, you know, Gwen Stefani trying to mimic like Asian culture in America is actually not cool. It's cultural appropriation. Nobody wants to see white girls pretending to be Asian. Like Asian girls have always been the coolest. They've always had the dopest style. Even I give mad props to I literally steal a lot of my fashion sense from Asian chicks in Japan. Like Japanese chicks have the hottest fashion on the planet, straight up. They're hotter than like anything that's happening in New York. In the like there's a lot of like Chinese students who are in the Bay Area now, so I think people like see it and are starting to pick up on it. But still, you guys are biters. Like that came from Japan. And I appreciate so much that a lot of the continental Africans who are coming are actually bringing their like tribal like garment cloth and teaching people how to appropriately wear it, because like I don't wear it because I don't want to be a cultural appropriator. Like if the only cloths that I've worn are cloths that were given to me by Ghanaian women and they taught me how to wear them. Otherwise, like I'm not gonna wear it because I understand that each cloth has a particular meaning and it like respects a particular culture. And there's a whole like, you know, continent of people who respect that culture, and I want to respect that culture too. So I'm not just gonna like trot around like wearing some garment I don't even understand. That's stupid, right? So, so I was going back to why the Ailey Camp video hit. Like initially when it was edited, they put Paris in the front of the video, and I don't think they saw me at all. But that's the thing about when you actually have exposure. I had the Princess Leia buns, which is like, you know, Star Wars. So obviously like Star Wars is like super cool, and all the nerdy kids of today, they love Star Wars. And like I'm like the atypical black girl. Like I am the most like, well, I'm not saying like me in general. I'm saying like my kind of look, because like I literally look like an African American, and even like an African. So like if my picture, my image goes to like Africa, like African women can relate because they're like, oh yeah, she looks like one of us, like she is one of us. You cannot use a biracial girl and be like trying to market to like Ghanaian women. They're not Like, they just can't relate. They're just gonna think that shit is for somebody else. They're gonna be like, that's not for us. Especially like people really want to see themselves. Like representation, full representation is important. And so if you are an African woman here and you're listening to me, please, like, market yourself the way that you want to be marketed here. Like, now that you're here, create a brand for yourself with the image that you want to see, because like people are not gonna market and brand you the right way. They don't have any idea what in Africa, like, there's so many African countries. I have no idea what the culture is for like another African culture. I can only talk about like my own experience, right? Like, so like you have to literally introduce the country to you, because they're just clumping all the Africans together, because like nobody understands like what the different countries and stuff are. And I know, because like I've been hip to that since kindergarten, right? Like just knowing Chinyere and Nicole, who are from like Nigeria and I think Ghana respectively, and then having the West African dance teacher, it's like I was very familiar with like what these cultures are, and that there's like different countries, and like not all black people are the same. There's like, you know, different countries in Africa. And so when I started learning that, I tried to figure out, okay, so like which is the country that I'm from. And so I think I could be like Nigerian, Somalian, or Ethiopian, like if I had to guess, or maybe Ghanaian. So if I had to guess, I'd be like one of those Africans from one of those African countries. And I wish that I knew more. Like I wish I could like relate to more of the women there, and especially having just more connections with like AfriX and what Jamila and Tope are working on in Africa, and all of the influencers that they're following in Africa. It's like very clear, like, oh my gosh, like I want to figure out what this community is like, what these women are talking about in the community. Like I want to hear the music, you know what I mean? Like I want to participate in the community, really. Or maybe I'll just create some art around my own experience, trying to understand the community. There's so many things I could write about. Yeah. There was also, I was listening to it's funny enough, I was listening to some of Taylor Swift's old music, like one of her songs, Mean. I was listening to some of the songs like from Avril Lavigne, and I really started to understand, like, there's all these like different she was really able to capture failure in like a kind of ironic way. Like her songs are really about how to work through failure, how to work through being dumped, like from a woman's perspective. It's like a woman scorned, what that looks like. And what's funny is like everybody goes through that. Like everyone goes through it. It's a real thing. Like you might get dumped, you might have like a weird a situationship, you know, you might have like, I don't know, you might just have some experience that like it's not traditional, and then you might need to like unpack it and talk about it and realize like how you feel about it and like what's going on, and you know, find other community around you, because like sometimes when you're an adolescent, like you don't know what to do, you don't know how to handle it, you know, you just kind of feel like out of place, you feel lost. And it's especially hard, like the hardest thing for me is to like always be the anomaly, because like there's so many like tropes and stereotypes about what it means to be a black girl in America, that like other cultures, they just some people just don't interact with black people at all. So like they just don't see us as humans. Like we're not humans yet, unfortunately. And so like if anything happens, all they can do is like refer back to their own world's view. They have no fucking idea of like what, you know, what any of it means, or like how it works, or what it looks like, or what it feels like. And what I am not willing to carry the baggage. Like there's always some white people, especially I've seen this in Berkeley so often, you guys always have some like token black person, and it's always that fucking black weirdo that none of the black people actually hang out with. It's just like the weird ass black person who like y'all like embrace them and you keep them as a token. They're always like weird looking or like extra quiet, or they like don't talk, just something about them which is like extra, like they're not human or they're not regular or some way. Or there's also just a lot of like weird American niggas who honestly have some, you know, shit that they need to work through anyway, but they are just like going with sort of like really awful racist sort of motives, really, and like not correcting. Like that's the thing, like if you're around a regular like black person, I don't know if there's such a thing as a regular black, maybe just a more normalized black person, then like they will correct you when you say some racist shit, when you do some things that are like disrespectful, if you say something that's like actually not funny, they will correct you. But when you have these like weird niggas that some of y'all hang around with, they're not going to correct you because like they just participate in that same toxicity as well. And then some of y'all wonder why the black community doesn't fuck with them, or why it's like why the African community is like separated. It's because like there's like cultural shit, like it's really real. There's like light skin versus dark skin in the black community. So you have like dark skinned people over here and then light skinned people over here, and they are not like necessarily like coming together being like, we love each other. And then you have someone like me, I'm considered brown skin, so I'm like smack dab in the middle. That's why there's, I mean, that's why there's the brown skin girl song, but black women come in all different shades. Like in the summertime, like if you see like my leg, it's hella fucking light. But like my face is like more tan because I am sitting here in the sun all day. And then if it's winter, I might go pale. But like technically I'm just like a brown skin, what is that? I'm just like a brown skin girl. But like the light skin, dark skin conversation in the black community is mad. And then there's a whole different part where there's other people who are now sitting in the middle because of like interracial dating. So when people like typically when people have interracial children, they come out like my shade, they just look brown, so technically they're mixed race children. But like I'm not mixed race, like I am a black American. I have 2 black parents. Like I'm not an interracial person. And for some reason there's like this idea that like mixed race people look more like Zendaya. Like they don't. If you look at like Latin America is basically, go look at like what the people in Brazil look like. Most people in Brazil, like they look like me. They're brown, which we just consider this black. Like most of the people, not Sao Paulo, go to like Bahia, but like Rio de Janeiro, you know, go to where else? I don't know. Some of the bigger cities in like Brazil, there's hella black people there, and they're actually black. Or Jamaica, you know, like there's like black people. Like there's not just, you can't really just tell if I'm looking at someone's shade color. So the weird part about that in the black community is now you have actual continental Africans, some of who are like very, very, very dark skinned and very proud to be like black, but then they see like someone like me and they're like, oh, so you're a biracial person. And I'm like, no, I'm actually not a biracial person. I'm a black person. I have 2 black parents, but it's just that like my skin matches with what they identify as being a mixed race person, but I'm not. And I feel like that is one of the reasons why artists like Logic have taken off. But like Logic is for clearly people who are in really wealthy parts of New York and then all of middle America who have no fucking clue about, you know, the globe. They literally just are in their very small parts of the world. And then or even I would say the Berkeley people too, because they always find a trope. Like they'll find the traveling niggas, like the white people from they'll find like the white South African and be like, we know Africans. Like Africa's a whole continent with black people, and you found a white African. Like really, bro? Not fucking crazy. Anyway, or they'll find like a white Indian or something and be like, we're so cultured. Like no, they're not. That's why we're talking about racism and having to be very specific about black issues, like black. Because you can be like a white French person all day and they'll be like, we are cultured, diversity. I don't know. Yeah, but clearly there is space for me to make some content because I have a crazy ass life story, that's for sure. Maybe it would be interesting. I just hope, like I said this one time, and I'll say it a million times. If you're a black child, don't go to art school. Art school in America is not for you. Don't go to Hollywood either. Hollywood is Hollyweird. You got to go to like Atlanta. Go to where the black people are. Atlanta. Some of the places like St. Louis in the South. The Bay Area has some like LA right now. I've seen what Taj is doing out there. Like, I've met some of the black creatives. Like, LA might be, like, Issa Rae's out there right now. LA might be popping if you're black. If you're black right now, it might be popping. But if a show wasn't like that, like, I would still encourage you, if you're in, like, an Ohio, like a Louisiana, Tennessee, bruh, like, I think I'm gonna move to Tennessee and become a country singer, and I'm not even, like, Bible. I signed a lease for a apartment in Tennessee this year, and then I decided last minute to not go to Tennessee, but I literally was like, I'm moving to Tennessee, and I'm gonna make some country songs. I'm gonna be, like, the Black Taylor Swift of, like, my, like, hood art school failure stories. That was the whole plan. I don't know if that's gonna work, but yo, that was for sure the plan. So I hope you guys enjoyed this breakfast. Wow, my legs are like really dry. I think it's because like I haven't had enough lotion, and I need to like apply more lotion.